Every day, we're here for you. We get things off the ground, keeping you connected. We're here keeping you safe and secure. We keep things running smoothly and know the importance of giving back. Every day, we're here. ARA, here for you, here for good.
Welcome to Everyday Greatness and thanks for joining us. We're coming to you from Sydney Swans HQ in Moore Park, and today I'm sitting down with two people who are helping communities be proud of the people they really are. Before I start though, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we meet, the Gadigal and Bidjigal people. I'd like to extend my respect to elders past, present and emerging. One of the proudest things I can say about myself is that I am Australian. So I give this acknowledgement from the heart. Sarina Jackson is the head of the Rainbow Swans, the Sydney Swans official LGBTQ+ supporter group. And Mon Schafter is a Walkley Award-winning journalist and co-chair at 2010, one of Australia's biggest LGBTQ+ supporter groups for Sydney and New South Wales. On social media platforms these days, there's quite often two personalities behind every profile. There's the ruthless, driven, passionate, positive avatar, but then there's also the real personality of the person actually writing the profile. And quite often they're vulnerable, afraid, and feel like they have imposter syndrome because they're trying to fool the world into thinking they're somebody they're not. My guests today though, Sarina Jackson and Mon Schafter, are both comfortable in their own skin. They're not trying to fool anybody, and they're proud of the people they really are. Being proud of who you are isn't something everybody is blessed with. There are some people out there who are just flat out struggling with who they are. It's a lot easier to be proud when you have a big community of people around you telling you they're proud of you and letting you know they respect how hard you're working. And this is where Sarina and Mon have both found solace in sporting communities. The Rainbow Swans started out as an email group of LGBTQ+ Swans supporters, but it's now exploded and is such a huge community, it's now using its platform to support smaller sporting community groups. As well as being the co-chair of 2010, Mon Schafter also plays soccer for the Flying Bats.
Woohoo!
They are the biggest LGBTQ+ women's and non-binary football club in the world. The Bats are a loud voice for groups who used to be silent. So to tell us more about how sporting communities are helping make people feel proud of who they really are, it's a privilege to welcome Sarina Jackson and Mon Schafter to Everyday Greatness. Sarina and Mon, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
So let's start, Sarina, with how the groups you guys are a part of help make people feel proud of who they are. Tell us a bit about the Rainbow Swans. What do they do? How do they help make people feel proud of who they are?
So the Rainbow Swans did start way back as a Yahoo group in 2003, but there's a bit more history to the community with the club back from there. But I suppose what we try to do together with the club, so we're a fully sanctioned and supported group of the club. Basically try to make everybody feel welcome at the football. So, and there's been quite a lot of abuse towards players this year. So it's quite fitting this year where it hasn't sort of been for the last couple of years. It's not been so important, but no, sorry, that's wrong. It has been very important, but it's been, we've had a lot of people contact us this year about how the vilification and the homophobia has made them feel. So they've been hearing players and coaches speak about that. So our place is to make everybody feel welcome, whether they're a player, whether they're a supporter, whether they're a family member, or whether they're a youth person coming through that doesn't necessarily think that they should be playing AFL because they might be a man and they think that they've got no place in playing professional sport as a gay man. So we just think that it's everyone's welcome. and trying to be a voice for all those people that have not had that before.
Very cool, very worthy. And Mon, tell us a bit about 2020. What do they do and how do they help make people feel proud of who they are?
Sure. So 2010 is a support service for young LGBTQIA plus people in New South Wales, and we provide counselling, housing support, social support groups and programs for young people who either might be coming to terms with who they are, maybe they're out and they're just wanting to connect with community, or maybe they're facing some big challenges in their life and really need support. We're kind of a small organisation that does a lot of work. We achieve big things with very limited resources.
I apologise profusely, Mon. My grandmother would say, a slip of the tongue's no fault of the mind.
No.
I did mean 2010, not 2020.
No worries at all. The name is actually strange. Like people go, why is it called 2010? And it's because 2010 started in Darlinghurst and 2010 is the postcode of Darlinghurst. These days we're in Chippendale, but we're also about to move to Newtown to open the Pride Centre in Newtown.
So does that need a different name then if it's in a different postcode?
That would be even more confusing. I think we'll stick with 2010.
Righto, fair enough. Now, Sarina, tell us a bit more about what the Rainbow Swans actually do on game day. Do you guys do anything different to any other Harry Saccarols that comes to watch the footy, or are you just a bunch of Swans fans that come and enjoy each other's company?
We are. One thing we certainly are is definitely Swans fans. We have away games and home games. So away games and thanks to Jad Mazral at the Swans has helped us get working with the Alex. So we've got a home venue that we all gather to and watch games at. And for home games, we usually meet. We've got this fabulous tent called Queen Elizabeth II, or QE2 we call her, and she's our Rainbow Swans tent, and we meet there before games, and then we often go out afterwards. One of the things, or the beautiful things that we've started to do, and it works really well, is quite a lot of Red Zone members who are on their own, so they meet as a group and then go together and watch the game, which I think is really, really awesome. And we've got a good banter and chat group, and we bag every other team like true fans.
Fair enough. I only asked the question because I'm not queer myself, but I know a lot of queer people think that when other queer groups get together, they do queer things.
No, we do football things. we might, we wear lots of rainbows. That's definitely true. But,
that's it.
But we see lots, and the beautiful thing is the Swans have the rainbow scarf, and I think it's the highest selling item out of the shop. And there's mums and dads and kids, and everybody wears it because it's so awesome. But we are dead set just crazy Swans fans who all happen to be part of a community that we love.
Outstanding. Now, Mon, I'm going to ask you about why inclusivity in sport is so important in a second, but tell us about the rainbow bats first. The flying bats.
The flying bats. Don't worry, we have a lot of rainbows as well.
We do.
Yeah, so the Bats are we're a community soccer club. We play in a women's league, but we're a really inclusive club. We're an LGBT club. We're inclusive of trans people, trans women, non-binary people, and it's just a big, lovely family. Like I just love playing soccer for the Bats.
Very good answer. And why is LGBTQ plus inclusion so important, and what does sporting communities do to help raise that inclusion?
Sport is just all about community, and it's about being part of something that's bigger than yourself. It's about being part of a family. And I know I get that sense whenever I step on the pitch for the Bats. It's just a very welcoming place where I feel at home. And I think regardless of what club or what sport you participate in, I think you get those feelings from sport. And I think in the past, sport hasn't necessarily been a safe space for LGBTQ plus people, and that is changing. You know, the visibility of the Rainbow Swans and groups like that have helped that journey progress. But I just feel like everyone deserves to be able to participate in sport because it's just good for your overall health, your physical health, your mental health. And I think particularly for younger LGBTQ plus people who might be struggling with their identity, feeling connected to something in a community just does wonders for you. And I think everyone deserves the right to participate.
Totally agree. Now, Sarina, a lot of people these days talk about being a part of a tribe. What is it about these sporting communities that makes you feel almost tribal, like you're a part of something bigger than yourself?
Well, when your team's doing as well as Swans are at the moment, you always feel like there's something bigger than that. But I think what Mon said just then is perfect. It's about community. It's about relationships, and it's about the support that comes with that. So we're all part of our rainbow community, and then we're part of the Swans community, and like the Bats community. My kids play sport, and I know how important that is for them as well. And it is when you're struggling with who you are, which I've done as a younger person, belonging to something gives you an identity that you can work with and then sort of work through who you are through that identity or that tribe. And it's sport, and then there's also other communities. So you can be part of an artistic community, you could be part of a music community, so it's that whole tribal concept is exactly what helps people get through from who they are to what they want to be or what they think they want to be. Because sometimes I'm 49, I'm 50 this year, but I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So I don't think a tribe is always going to help me do that too. But so I think it's just that helping belong.
Very true. Now, Mon, it's not just queer people who struggle with their identity. A lot of young people who don't know who they are really find their way after playing team sport. Tell us about your short film and how that's helped change the landscape in sporting inclusivity and people knowing who they are.
Sure. You're right. Sport benefits everyone. Anyone and everyone, regardless of who you are. A few years ago, through 2010, I worked on this inclusion campaign that was called Well Played, and it was short films about why LGBTQ plus inclusion in sport is so important. And for these films, we interviewed young queer people and trans people who love sport and physical activity. And it was interviews with them about what they get out of participation. And one of the participants in the film was a young trans guy called Jackson who loves playing footy. And he wasn't sure if footy was going to be a safe and inclusive place for him. But his local club welcomed him, embraced him. His mum is also really active in the club, and he is just thriving playing footy. And again, it's the physical and the mental benefits that come with that. We also shone a light on young people who are into dancing and roller derby, some, less traditional kind of sports. But each of them told us how much they love participation and how they wish that, all sporting environments were inclusive of all people.
We live in a world today that's very political and everybody's trying to include everybody else to tick boxes. Are there governing bodies using your short film to help push inclusion further?
That's right, yeah. The materials we made were embraced by Sport Australia in their inclusion guidelines. And if you jump on their website, you can actually check out the short films and just hear firsthand from young people about why inclusion is so important to them.
Very cool. Now, Sarina, the world today is a lot different in terms of LGBTQ plus inclusion than it was when the Rainbow Swans started in 2003. So tell us about how the world is different today, and just to let you know, you can be as controversial as you want and talk about, use whatever words you want and whatever characters you'd like to describe.
Well, we were just talking about before we started recording that the Rainbow Swans obviously started in 2003, but the gay and lesbian, and I say that because back then that support of the Swans certainly started from its inception here with the Swan Tits, who used to come dressed in cheerleading outfit with large breasts and used to be like the cheerleaders, and there's footage. So we're trying to uncover it. We think that it would be perfect to be in the RHI, which is obviously one of our the Rainbow community's spiritual homes. And so then obviously you move through to 2003 where it started as really a Yahoo chat group of people who supported the Swans, and then early teens it became an official supporter group of the club and incorporated. And ever since then it's had the incredible I guess wave of new members, old members, new people coming to watch the game that they loved as a child but then left because they didn't feel welcome. And to the point where we obviously march in Mardi Gras with the Swans and we have the Pride game. But one of my favourite moments ever, and I use it, was one of the first Pride games, and it was the Guard of Honour, and we put out there was a family who had a trans son, and he was I think he was about 14, and he joined up as a member. So his father joined up saying, oh, look, he likes football. He's really having a hard time. And he came to the Guard of Honour, and we got this note afterwards saying that it changed his life. He felt included, and he felt part of a tribe. So I use that word because it's not their words, but that's exactly what. And I just went, everything we do is for that exact purpose. And if that changes one person's life, then it's brilliant. And it's so much more about the visibility of you can't be what you can't see.
Totally.
And we want to be seen and heard loudly, and the Swans do that with us. And that's really where it's changed from being a backroom chat group that was hidden to a social media, every flags in our cheer squad have the biggest rainbow flags of any of the cheer squads. So it's exactly that. So it's out now, whereas before it wasn't. And I think that's the difference between 2024 and 2003.
Outstanding answer. No offense, Mon, but that was the answer of the day. That's really cool, Sarina. Now, Mon, you also work on a lot of platforms at the ABC to help give queer voices, help make them heard. What are some of those platforms and what are you doing with those?
Sure. Yeah, so I lead ABC Queer, which is content and stories aimed at younger LGBTQ plus people. And we're on Instagram. We have a podcast. We've just filmed a little iView series as well. And ABC Queer started about 4 years ago. I'd worked in current affairs up until that point on 7:30 and then decided, no, I'm going to take on this new project and try and grow this little sort of queer initiative within the ABC. And we did it as a pilot, and it grew very, very quickly and got lots of followers and lots of eyeballs, shall I say. And it's really important, and it comes back to visibility, as Sarina was talking about, where young queer people hadn't necessarily seen themselves reflected in mainstream media, or they hadn't seen the diversity of the community reflected. So we decided to platform all these young, diverse queer people in our storytelling. They pitch us ideas for content. We take those ideas on board, create them, and then we feed them the content. So it's like this two-way relationship, and it's growing, from strength to strength. And we shot a series just recently that's this really heartwarming cross-generational series where we bring together an older queer person with a younger queer person, like a boomer and a zoomer.
What's the show called?
It's called OK Boomer, OK Zoomer. And together they watch screen content from each other's generation. So together they might watch the first gay kiss on TV in the 70s, and then they'll watch coming out videos on TikTok and all these young queer people celebrating their identities. So it's looking at how things have changed over time, and the younger person and the older person are kind of translating the content to each other and sharing their own experiences through that process. So it won't be out in the world for a few months, but I'll keep you posted.
So it's kind of like an intellectual goggle box.
A bit, yeah.
Fair enough.
And rainbow.
Now, Sarina, we've been talking about tribes and inclusivity. How can people who aren't sure of who they are become part of the Rainbow Swans if that's their calling?
Well, we've got the Pride game coming up in Melbourne this year. So, and then obviously we didn't touch on the women's. We've got at every home game we set up the tent at either Henson or at North Sydney Oval. We've got away games, so you log on to either Facebook, Instagram, our website, rainbowswans.org. I think there's a link through also the Swan site, and send us a message, and we're happy to introduce anybody new that wants to come or provide support for the kids because my daughter and her friends all hang out with us and come to our events and do all that sort of stuff as well. So we're fairly family friendly, and yeah, we're looking forward to Pride Game this year, and then again Pride Game back here next year.
Very cool.
Speaking of the Pride Games, one beautiful thing is that 2010 and the Sydney Swans have a relationship through the Pride Games where the Swans have partnered with 2010 as part of their diversity action plan. And this again is, coming back to diversity and inclusion and visibility. And for 2010 and the communities that we serve, young queer people, it just means so much to have a footy club like the Sydney Swans waving the rainbow flag saying, we believe in this, we believe in you, we support you. Like the visibility on that national scale just saves lives. It's a really special thing.
Well, they're not the only ones saving lives. Tell us a bit about what 2010 have got coming up in 2024.
Oh, I mean, lots of stuff. It's like the day-to-day work of the counselling, the support groups, the housing support, that just continues. But we're hoping to expand our presence out in Western Sydney because there's a lot of people outside of the metro areas that are struggling with their identities and feeling safe and included. So doing more in that space and also doing more to support young trans and gender diverse people who are often, unfortunately, caught up in the politics of our country, and they need extra love and extra support.
Fair enough. And how are the Flying Bats going this year?
Oh, God, don't ask me. We got bloody thumped on Sunday, 6-0. The worst thing was we played a team in our own club. We've got 2 teams in Div 1 over 30s and they bloody thumped us.
Fair enough. Well, Mon and Sarina, I feel like today's societies are changing and making it, and it's a more inclusive place to be, and it's largely because of what you guys are doing and the Rainbow Swans in 2010. So thank you so much for joining me on Everyday Greatness. It's been a pleasure chatting to you both.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank the ARA Group for being our major sponsor for the 7th year in a row. Thank you to Look Studio Australia for your technical expertise, to Facet Digital for your digital marketing, to the Sydney Swans for hosting us so graciously in your Swans HQ. And thank you all for watching. We hope you can join us next week where I'll be speaking to somebody. The clinical psychologist at the Sydney Swans, Susie Ruthick. Susie and I will be talking about how you can want to ruthlessly win every game you play, but still be a balanced, decent human being. I hope you can join us for that one. But if you want to find out more, go to our social media channels at barnabyhowarth.com.au or Facebook, Instagram, YouTube or LinkedIn. You can also catch us on Swans TV on YouTube. Thanks for joining us.